Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us for today's webinar mini thought leadership piece, 5 Ways to Improve Child Safety Standards Through Online Enrollment and Registration. My name is Noel Johnson from InfoSnap, and I'll be your presenter. So let's go ahead and get started. Ensuring student safety is a high priority for all school administrators. We all know that. And maintaining and raising safety standards, requires where we can identify for improvement, for implementing a new process, and maybe a whole new procedure. And one of those processes and procedures is online or student registration in general. Whether you do it for a paper form, we're going to take a look today at transitioning to an online form, which may be a safer way of ensuring standards. What we'll take a look at today is medical history. We'll take a look at ensuring emergency contact and family information is up to date. We'll take a quick look at how maintaining high security standards relates directly to student safety, how you can decrease margins of error by eliminating data entry, and finally, how you can ensure schools' policies on safety issues are effectively communicated to and accounted for by families and students. In a paper world, if families are required to fill out paper forms by hand in order to complete student registration, schools will find themselves at the mercy of a registrar who's having to read family handwriting, tracking down families who haven't failed to fully complete the form, and generally will see increased amounts of errors. In our experience, families often are faced with filling out up to 20 forms, possibly sometimes up to 40 forms or pieces of paper for each child that they have. And throughout the paper process, the level of accuracy diminishes. And as you can imagine, there's an inverse relationship between student accuracy and the number of errors, which makes sense. So replacing an archaic, unreliable, paper-based method with an intuitive online method will, off the bat, increase immensely student safety standards. So let's take a first look at the collection of medical history and medication information and how your districts are able to do it via online. Let's say you have a student, this is Bobby, and he has a severe peanut allergy. And on the first day of school, is that information going to be accessible and inside his medical record or medical information? Does the school have proper instructions to know how to treat this student's condition? Do we send him home? Do we give him an EpiPen? Do we have to call the hospital or take him there? And if so, is there a particular hospital he's allowed to visit? Well, the ability to access accurate medical information in the first period of the first day of school, as you can imagine, is absolutely critical. So if you're going, you run to the file, you see the student is sick, you pull out their paper folder, and then what do you find? A big question mark. Maybe you find missing information. Maybe you find information that hasn't been updated since last year. But regardless, it puts you in a very liable and dangerous position, as well as a dangerous position for the student and their well-being. However, if you're implementing an online solution and you ask the imperative health-related questions at the time of registration or enrollment so that school staff is properly equipped and families submit the proper information, you can have your appropriate staff, let's say in this case the nursing staff, alerted of any changes that may occur, alerted of when a new student comes into your district or your school and identifies themselves as having an allergy or an asthma, and you'll be able to appropriately address. School has started, someone has been alerted, the information has been passed on. Bobby, unfortunately, still gets sick again from peanuts, but you can go directly to your online system. You can pull that report on day one, or additionally, many nurses still do like to keep a printed record on file. You could pull that from your system as well, place it in the appropriate spot, and then know how to appropriately address the student's illness. In this case, it says, hey, Bobby, you have an allergy, what's the proper response? And here it's an EpiPen. Also, when we're talking about health reports, these can be generated to identify which students are still waiting to sign off or students that you haven't collected information from. So in a paper world, you've got this stack of papers. You know you have this necessary medical information that you're trying to input into your database, allergies, EpiPens, daily insulin, and often we find that this is up to a 3-month process as you go through reading all the forms and ensuring the information is accurate. If you're using an online solution, however, you will find yourself with the need to collect the same amount of information. You're just doing it in a more modern process. So students with allergies, students with EpiPens, students that need daily insulin. If you're collecting these submissions and then pushing them into your database, it may be a 3-minute process. So the difference in 3 months, 3 minutes is an immense amount of ensuring better student safety and decreasing your liability as a school and a district. Now let's take a look at tip 2, accessing up-to-date contact information and its importance as it regards to student safety standards. So during the online enrollment registration process, families would be prompted to enter information into an online form. However, if you're using a written process, then you have to decipher handwriting, which can be difficult to do. There's also room for administrator typos and errors. So are you getting that accurate phone number? Are you getting that accurate email address, that accurate emergency contact, or home physical address? You know, if the school's needs to close early, let's say because of inclement weather, well, you've got this nice number. It's printed out. It's in your student information system, and it's in the format that you require. All of a sudden, the storm happens, inclement weather, you need to start making calls, you need to start emailing people, or should the school go on lockdown, you need to be able to keep families abreast of the situation, and then also make them aware that their child's well-being is taken care of and addressed. All right, now let's take a look at security standards and how you're going to ensure student safety via those students and the data you collect. So collecting paper forms and then filing them in a local cabinet is not a secure process. I've had people tell me, you know, our security is a stack of papers on a registrar's desk that lasts through the end of October. You know, obviously that is not safe. And if you're going to, the commitment to safeguarding student standards includes that ensuring unauthorized personnel are unable to access confidential student information. You know, we know that 2 billion people every day are using the internet for technology-driven solutions, storing and managing information, communicating with people, staying informed on various topics. And your school is no different. Your district is no different. So positioning yourself to be on the forefront of technology is important. It's going to increase student safety, as we said, and it's going to provide a better medium for managing your data. The provider that you look for, an online provider, you know, you want to ensure that they have a secure infrastructure. And what does this mean? Not only secure, but also encrypted. So when data may be transferred back and forth between two systems, or data may be stored in a system, it's always sitting in an encrypted state. You know, this sure ensures that the wrong people will not be able to access the student information, and it'll ensure that your infrastructure and policies are appropriate to meet the needed standards of your school and district. Additionally, look for a privacy policy. Privacy policies should be transparent, both to you and your staff. What is the policy of this company or this solution that you may be looking at, and how are they going to respond, and how do they manage your information? It's important to know that there's a complete commitment to protection of this data, and should anything change within the business, that data will be protected and all students will be safe. That information will not be shared with additional third parties. It's important to investigate this information and understand, along with your technology team, what the best course of action is for your school or district. All right, as we keep going down, let's take a look at the ability to eliminate administrative or, in general, human error. So the margin for error increases, as we said, when families manually fill out forms. In a 2012 study cited here, you can see that we found 33%, or they found 33% of people actually had difficulty reading their own handwriting. So what does that mean to us? Well, if you translate that into a statistic of a school, 3,000 students, that means you have up to 900 different students on their forms that you're going to have difficulty reading their handwriting, and then you're going to have to type this into a database, and then the increased ability for inaccuracy as you put this into a database is anti-student safety. You want to be safe with this, you want to take care of it, and you want to make sure it's accurate and up to date. So the more school staff tries to decipher the handwriting, the more likely they are to misinterpret information and store inaccurate data. You know, moving the registration process online, it eradicates those errors. And as we said before, your paper count goes up, there's an inverse relationship between that number and the accuracy of your data inside the database. And maintaining high accuracy, as we said, is imperative to ensuring student safety standards are well met. All right, now that we've looked at medical history, we've talked about contact information, we've taken a look at things you should think about with regards to security of an online platform, and we've discussed how imperative it is to remove human error as much as possible. Finally, let's talk about how online enrollment and registration solutions will improve communication and proactively keep families informed. So there's more to online student enrollment registration than just acquiring the data. Schools can use the registration process as an opportunity to communicate a number of different procedures and standards to families. So, for example, you may place vital documents online, like your student handbook, drug policy, internet use, codes of conduct, information about cyberbullying, parent agreements, and they can collect that information and those signatures for each policy via an online signature. Students will know what's expected of them, and families can even aid in enforcing your school's policies. This puts ownership on the family, on the students, and removes it from, and hey, I didn't see that in this paper form, or I didn't read it, I didn't sign off on it. In conclusion, we've identified 5 different ways in which online registration can improve your school's student safety standards. The way you can securely collect medical history and information, medicine information, the way you can access up-to-date, ensure that up-to-date contact or emergency contact information is ready for every student on the first day of school. Identify how you can ensure the process you choose, the online process you choose, is appropriate and it takes the appropriate measures in safeguarding your student data. Next, eliminating the administrative and human error associated with it. The more paper, the more data needs to be collected, the more humans need to be involved and interact, the likeliness you are of increased error and inaccuracies in your data. And finally, talking about communication, how you can improve communication, how you can put these things online, your policies, your standards, and ensure that families are acknowledging their commitment to those standards. And all of this ready by the first day of school. To learn more about online registration or what an online registration solution could do for you, we're happy to take other inquiries. Today, we discussed 5 ways to improve child safety standards through online enrollment and registration. I appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me, and have a great day.